Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all doing good, having a great day. This is going to be a very basic guide for the early levels for Sorceress class inside Diablo 4. I've been playing for about 6 hours now in World Tier 2. Been doing dungeons, killing bosses solo. I will share some gameplay towards the end. And I want to keep this guide very basic for everyone to understand without going into Codex of Power or the legendary essences that you can get and upgrade your rare items with some codex. We won't be going into all that to confuse the new players, and we'll only talk about the skills. And starting with the skills itself, of what we have here, I'll just show you guys. We have the arc lash here. It has a really nice AoE damage and has a really high primary damage in my opinion, and everyone I think will agree that this is one of the best primary attack for the sorceress class. And our second skill here is charge bolt. Believe I'm still learning the names of these skills. I will show you in a bit. This is what we have here. And the next skill that we have here is a teleport, so we can move around a bit faster. And then we have two defensive skills. The first one is the Frost Nova. Anything around you will get frozen, and you will deal additional damage to those frozen enemies. And we have another defensive skill here, that is the Ice Armor, will be your life savior versus bosses and elites, especially when you are playing solo. And as for the ultimate, I forget the name of the ultimate, but we will look into that. This is how it looks. It does some crazy damage, and you can use some other electric stuff with this. It does insane damage to enemies around you, melts everything, but it has a big cooldown. Now you have seen all the skills. Basically, we're using electric skills with some ice defensive skills here, and I want to keep this very basic, guys. Just showed you guys the skills, and now we will go into the uh, skill tree here, and then I'll show you guys some gameplay versus the boss. Starting with, you can use the points however you like, but I would suggest you guys trying to reach the at least this tree so you can unlock some defensive abilities. Once you reach towards the defensive abilities, then you can start upgrading your skills a bit more. So we're going with the arc lash here, really good skill for a primary, and then we are upgrading this with the enchant arc lash. It will have the critical strike then, and additional swipe, and then we can gain some more movement speed with this. If we hit the enemy up to 18%, that is good. And then from the next tree, we are going with the charge bolt here. This skill is really good versus single target damage. If you hit the same target with the same bolt like 3 times, it will have a small blast, the lightning nova, that is going to deal additional damage to enemies around it, and we can increase that damage even more by 25% if the enemy will also get stunned. So this is actually really good. And from the next tree, we will be using a couple of points here, starting with the teleport. 1 point is enough to just get around, and then you can get some defensive abilities here. Frost Nova, that is really good. And then we are going to enhance that, killing enemies frozen by Frost Nova, reduce the cooldown. Really good. You can freeze the enemies with this and kill them, and it will reduce the cooldown for the cooldown of your skills. Very good. And then Frost Nova makes enemy vulnerable for 4 second, increase to 6 second against bosses. Really good. This is really strong skill. And then you can go with the ice armor here, really good. We all know that. And when the ice armor will be active, you will generate more mana, and if you generate more mana, you can spam the charge bolt, especially versus the bosses. And then enemies that hit you while ice armor is active, they can get frozen, and once they are frozen, you will easily able to deal with them. So really good here, ice armor. And then glass cannon is really good to increase your damage. Even though you will take a bit more damage, it's still good to go for the glass cannon. And then we have the 1 point here in the elemental. Every time you do a lucky hit critical strike, it has a 5% chance that it will reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills, which will be this ice armor here and the frost nova. And if we go to the next tree, we won't be using any skills there, by the way. And so we have to basically just keep upgrading our things in the first 1 to 3 trees until we reach this ultimate stage. That is how we are going to do it, and it will work. It is working for me. You can go and get the unstable current. Really awesome ultimate. In my opinion, one of the best, deals awesome damage. You will feel like goddess using this, and you can upgrade that with prime unstable currents, and you can then upgrade that with supreme unstable current. And now I am working towards some of these skills here. Hitting enemies with shock skill increase your critical strike chance by 1%. And so very early level, I will be sharing more detail in the end game builds, where I will go full in depth with all the codex and legendaries that you need for the builds. And as for the enchantment slot, you can go with the arc lash. When you use a cooldown skill, enemies around you are stunned, and that is how we're going to deal more damage with the if we go back here. You guys saw that charge ball deal 25% increased damage to stunned enemy. And so what we're doing with the enhancement slot is when we use a cooldown skill, that could be a teleport, that could be ice armor, that could be a frost nova, or the even the ultimate skill. Whenever we use that, it will stun the enemies around you, and if the enemies will be stunned around you, they will receive 25% more damage from the charge board. So that is what I have been running so far for 6 hours. I will go with more in-depth guide soon, but this is very basic, guys. I don't want to go into like what you need for your gear. Just play with whatever you have. Just you can play with these builds here if you want to go electric with some ice, and you will have a good time. And now I will let you guys see the gameplay if I have not already did that somewhere on your screen. Anyway, signing off. This was fun. I'm gonna keep playing now, and see you guys later with something else. Later, guys. Have fun inside Diablo 4.